Three leaders, three different goals, and a global power struggle that changed history. But was there a hidden force at play? How did Vladimir Putin use and deepen the tensions between Donald Trump and Volodymyr Zelensky? Let's break it down. The background. To understand this political game, we need to go back to 2019. Volodymyr Zelensky was the new president of Ukraine. His main goal? Get U.S. support to fight off Russian aggression. Donald Trump, the U.S. president, saw Ukraine in a different way. Through political controversy, corruption rumors, in his re-election campaign. And behind the scenes, Vladimir Putin, watching, waiting, and making moves. But this story didn't start in 2019. Russia had been interfering in Ukraine for a long time. Since Ukraine became independent from the Soviet Union in 1991, Russia tried to pull it back under its control. In 2014, Russia took over Crimea, and by the time Zelensky became president, Ukraine was already fighting Russian-backed separatists in the east. Trump's view and Putin's plan. Trump had a complicated view of Ukraine. He didn't trust foreign aid and often questioned why the U.S. should get involved in other countries' conflicts. He focused on corruption in Ukraine and thought Europe, not the U.S., should help Ukraine more. Meanwhile, Putin had a clear plan: create doubt and division. Russian fake news targeted Trump's supporters, spreading stories that Ukraine was corrupt and not worth helping. At the same time, Russian state media told Ukrainians that the West would never truly support them. The result? A bigger gap between Trump and Zelensky. Reports later confirmed that Russian internet trolls were spreading lies about Ukraine in Western media. The goal was simple: make American leaders hesitate to support Ukraine while also making Ukraine weaker from the inside. The controversial phone call. Then came July 25th, 2019, the phone call that changed everything. Zelensky needed military aid. Trump had a different priority. He wanted Ukraine to investigate Joe Biden's son, Hunter Biden. This phone call led to Trump's first impeachment. But here's the key point: Putin gained something no matter what happened. If Trump held back aid, Ukraine would be left weaker. If Trump faced impeachment, the U.S. would be too busy with its own problems to focus on Ukraine. Either way, Putin had more room to make his moves. The aid in question was nearly $400 million. Money meant to help Ukraine defend itself against Russia. The delay in giving this aid put Ukraine in danger and sent a message to Putin. U.S. support for Ukraine was uncertain. This made Putin feel more confident about his future plans. How Putin benefited. The conflict between Trump and Zelensky was more than just bad politics. It was a huge win for Putin. The U.S. was focused on Trump's impeachment. Ukraine's reputation was damaged in Washington, and the delay in military aid made Ukraine weaker. Meanwhile, Russia kept pushing forward in Crimea and eastern Ukraine without facing any serious consequences. Fast forward a few years, and we see a clear pattern. While the U.S. was dealing with its own internal fights, Russia was preparing for a larger attack. By the time the world focused on Ukraine again, Russian troops were already ready to invade. The lasting effects. The effects of this situation are still happening today. The Trump-Zelensky misunderstanding changed the way people in the U.S. talk about Ukraine. Putin's ability to spread lies and use division as a weapon is still a major tool in his strategy. But there's one more thing to consider: the ongoing information war. Even today, Russian disinformation continues to shape how people see Ukraine, not just in the U.S., but all over the world. By playing both sides, making Americans doubt Ukraine, and justifying war at home, Putin keeps pushing his goals forward. Beyond Ukraine, we can see this strategy being used in Europe and other places. From spreading anti-NATO ideas to creating political fights in different countries, Russia's strategy is always the same: divide and conquer. Final thoughts and what we can learn. So did Putin secretly control the Trump-Zelensky conflict? We may never know all the details, but one thing is clear: he gained from the chaos. History teaches us that information is as powerful as weapons. The real question is, are we ready to see through the next wave of manipulation? The best way to fight misinformation is to be informed. If you found this breakdown helpful, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share. Stay tuned for more deep dives into global politics.